Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
And I'm Ron Sen. Producer Jeff Mate says they've had to bring on extra people at the post office to cover the volume of mail, wondering where Let's Talk Sports has been lately. But we're back, despite the mail. First in our Sports and Society segment, we have the rather interesting story of Baylor football. Coach Art Briles' team has won 50 games in the last 5 years, had a Heisman Trophy winner in RG3, and has moved from laughingstock to champion in the Southwest Conference. Unfortunately for Briles, he's gone. University President Ken Starr of the Bill Clinton investigation era is also gone for failure to investigate, prosecute, and rein in the program, which is a victim of sexual abuse, beatings of women, and beatings of students. Just out of control, they had an independent investigation by a law firm in the area, and Baylor is broken big time.
You know, Ron, what is wrong with these people? I mean, coaches, general managers, owners. I mean, they worry so much about their program, and they care less about the people who are being hurt, and the individuals, the females in college, well, females and males. But I mean, it's unbelievable. You come out and you make sure that everybody understands what the policy is, and if someone violates it, then they get punished. I don't know what is wrong with them.
If you only find that winning is transcendent and you don't worry about the character of the coaches or the players involved, then you get a disaster under this institutional loss of control. Now, what will probably happen, however, is that it would be silly to think that Baylor is the only place this is happening. It's probably happening a lot of other places. They just haven't made the news cycle yet.
Well, it happened at Alabama recently where two football players, you know they're going to get suspended. They won't go for that. Probably throw them off the team anyway.
Well, we saw young Flutie getting suspended from BC for alleged DUI. And, you know, we understand it's college, and many of these players may have done things that were not, in some instances, so different like a DUI than other students, but it's still wrong. And you have to be held to a high standard. Now, I know you were a big Johnny Manziel fan, and I always thought that Manziel's character was such that he'd just not pan out. People worry about Manziel living through the year, never mind making another team.
Well, he has mental health problems, you know that. You know, he's into substance abuse big time, and I think it's more mental health than substance abuse, and I don't know what's going to happen with him, but he's going backwards fast.
Yeah, it sounds like he's just out partying full
time. He doesn't care. It's unbelievable.
You know, and you'd think that if you were an athlete who experienced as much success as he had, that you would want to have more of that success, but...
It's funny, you got a kid in that situation, if he gave 100% to football, he'd be making probably $16 million a year. You know, eventually he would have been making $16 million a year. He gives all that up so he can drink and party, you know, probably take cocaine and whatever he's been doing with the drugs. And it's unbelievable. That's why, to me, it's more mental health than it is substance abuse.
Well, it's unfortunate that people can't either have the self-discipline or find a mentor or a group of mentors that can reach you somehow and make changes in your life. And obviously was a terrific football player, but at this point, he's just another has-been.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, in San Diego, the San Diego Gay Men's Chorus was supposed to sing the national anthem the other day, and somehow the entertainment director or substitute, because apparently the regular director was out with illness, played the national anthem with a woman's voice singing. And as a result, the gay chorus, which had performed there previously, never got to perform, and there was a lot of repercussions. There was an investigation by San Diego, investigation by Major League Baseball. They fired the on-field DJ. They then brought him back because they said he didn't do it, and there was rumors that the Padres were upset because these men hadn't bought tickets and they wanted them to buy tickets but apparently their families had been there and buying tickets. Anyway, the long and short of it is, it sounds like it's going to be no harm, no foul, but you just wonder Can't we all get along?
But was it the Padres, or you told me that the person running it wasn't there?
Well,
He
it
was
sounds like
sick.
the regular person was sick, and the backup people just didn't get the job done.
Or maybe they didn't even know about it.
Who knows?
But the chorus was there, and they didn't let him
Yeah,
sing?
right. There were about 100 men on the field prepared to sing, and it just never happened.
Wow.
So kind of poor form, bad logistics. Here's a trivia point for you. Everyone remembers the well, all of us who are old remember the 1936 Olympics in Berlin with Jesse Owens winning 4 gold medals, including the 200-meter dash. Now, most people don't know who was the runner-up in the 200-meter dash, and turns out it was a gentleman named Mac Robinson. Now, say, so what, Mac Robinson? He's the older brother of Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
So talk about good family genes. The Robinson family certainly had it
So they went
going
gold,
on.
silver in that.
Yep. What will happen with the Olympics scheduled for Brazil this year? The U.S. Olympic swimming team just relocated their training site from Puerto Rico to Atlanta because of concerns about the Zika virus. Now, the biggest concern about Zika virus is that women who are pregnant could have as much as a 13% risk of having a child with birth defects, specifically microcephaly, which means having a very small head. And obviously for fans and the athletes, this is a major concern. The Harvard Public Health Review recommended relocation of the games and/or postponement from Brazil. There's a lot of other strange stories going out. There's one from Australia saying that they are supplying their athletes with Zika virus-resistant condoms. Anyway.
How long does that virus stay with you if you get it?
Well, you can be sick for months if you get a lot of these.
No, but I'm saying if, say, a female or a male, gets it.
Right.
Gets it, and it's in their system. How long does it stay in their system?
I don't know how long you can recover.
Because, I mean,
it.
like, say it's for a year, and you can...
Well, the other issue is, of course, let's say you're from Australia, and you get Zika virus where there's no Zika virus. You go back to Australia, you get bitten by the right kind of mosquito, and then somebody else gets Zika virus, and before you know it, your country has a serious public health problem.
Well, we have it here, don't we?
There's a little bit in the southern United States right now. Not a lot, but it hasn't had enough time to have as much spread. The expectation would be, like other contemporary viruses like West Nile, that it would spread throughout the country.
You're going to have to cancel the Olympics.
Well, there's a lot of money at stake, and so far nobody's talking seriously about canceling it. Now, as far as the Bruins go, we haven't seen a lot of action. The one thing that did happen is that Claude Julien got rehired. Now, I don't know if the organization decided that he was doing such a good job that he deserved to be rehired after failing to make the playoffs the last 2 years, or if they weren't going to face the dead money problem and pay him and then bring in a new coach and pay them too.
They better hope some of those young players develop. Those 3 first-round draft picks, they say they're at least another year away, but some of those kids have to develop. They've gotten some high draft picks in the last couple of years, so if they don't develop, they're in bad shape because, they don't have a number 1, number 2 defenseman. Now, I don't even know if they have a number 3 defenseman.
Well, I think they were in the top quarter of the league in scoring, but you've got to keep the other side out of the net. And of course, the NHL's been talking about expanding the net, putting some either a bulge on the side or the top to open up, because so many of these goalies that are so big, the pads are so big, that scoring has really gone down.
But we were talking earlier about the Bruins, and I said I think the biggest mistake they made was when they traded Boychuk. They should have traded Rask, kept Boychuk, traded Rask for another good defensive player, and hopefully get a goalie. I know a lot of people say you go from the goalie out to the defense to the forwards, but in that situation, they would have been solid at defense, solid on offense, and hopefully one of their goalies' true experience would have became. Because Rask is no superstar.
Well,
Rask is a good goalie, and at times he's not good.
Well, the Bruins have a very loyal fandom, and I'm sorry for those fans that they've met so much disappointment over the last couple of seasons. Now, the NBA recently concluded their draft lottery, Isaiah Thomas representing the Celtics, and Celtics did okay. They came away with the number 3 choice. They were statistically most likely to end up at 5. They were picking using Brooklyn's pick, and everyone pretty much acknowledges that Simmons and Ingram are going to go 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. And then the question is, do the Celtics try to get a player who can give them more immediate impact, either Buddy Hield or Jamal Murray, or go for a developmental kid like Dragan Bender?
Well, what's your move?
I get the scorer right away. I want Hield. This concept of, oh, I want an 18, 19-year-old kid and I'm going to train him up and he's going to be a great player. Well, look at James Young, and 2 years later, he's not even an okay player. He's a bad player.
Well, they were talking to this guy Jennings, who's supposed to be an expert, right? And he said he'd go with Hield too because he's the shooter the Celtics need. Plays a guard, could play a little as 3. But the deal's there. The deal's there. Okafor is there if they want him.
Yeah.
You trade your number 3 pick because they want the point guard from Providence. Is it Dunn?
Dunn.
They want Dunn big time. Philly loves Dunn, so they're going to get the number 1 draft pick.
So who do they have to trade with the 3 pick to get Okafor?
The Celtics go to Philadelphia, trade the number 3 pick
Plus
Smart and Sullinger or whoever else you want to trade. I don't know if they'd want Sullinger. Whoever they want. No, really, when you look at the Celtics, other than Isaiah Thomas, trade any of those guys.
Yeah, it's hard to say there's anybody who's untouchable.
But any one of them can fill in for any of them except for Thomas.
I mean, really, the 2 best players, I mean, obviously there's Thomas and Bradley, but Bradley making the NBA all first team defensive team, which I don't think he deserved it, but he made it. And
trade him.
I'd be okay with that.
Trade your number 1 draft pick and Bradley and maybe Sullinger. You're going to have to fit the money situation for Okafor. Now, Philadelphia, they have Noel. They have the other first-round big guy that's supposed to be healthy now.
Embiid.
Yeah, they're going to have Simmons, and they're going to have Dunn. You talk about rebuilding? Philly loves Dunn because they say he's a point guard that can lead the team. Celtics don't need Dunn. So it's right there for them to get Okafor. And then they have the numbers, is it the 17th?
They have
and 20-something? 16?
16 and 23.
You know, maybe they'll get a shooter in 16.
Well, they may get Denzel Valentine from Michigan State.
They say from like 7 to 20,
it's all the same.
It's deep. I mean, you can get a good player, a starter. Not a star, but a starter.
Yeah.
So when you make that move, if you could?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Okafor's a real talent. He had issues. He had a fight outside a bar. He was driving his car 100 miles an hour. You know, that's the argument against picking 19-year-old kids who are immature mentally, although mature physically.
You know, you have Danny Ainge, you have Stevens. He'd love playing on that team with Isaiah. And then they've got to get a shooter. You know, hopefully maybe a free agent.
Well, of the returners, now, Johnson's got an option the team can pick up for $12 million. I don't think he was worth it. Jerebko, he had his moments.
He's worth it. He's worth it coming off the bench.
I can take it or leave it. It's $5 million. So
no, but you're talking about $5 million.
Yeah.
I would definitely keep him.
Evan Turner, I don't know where the money's going to fit. Turner likes it here. He said he would probably take some kind of hometown discount. They said Turner can probably get 8 to 10, so I don't know what that means. Discount means 7, or probably not going to be as low as 6.
I think he's gone. They're not going to give him the money he wants.
Olynyk just had shoulder surgery, so even if they wanted to move him, I don't think they could right now. I think they're going to give him more opportunities. I mean, when he's healthy, he's not bad.
He needs more opportunities. He needs to feel. I mean, you saw it. I know it was the Olympics. Even when he scored the 38 points, I saw that game. He was unbelievable. But he was the go-to guy. He's not the go-to guy in the Celtics. They want him to stay outside the three-point line. They want him to set picks, and that's his game. You know. I mean, I would get McKeel to work with him. He's 7 feet.
Yeah. Well, of the players they had last year, Rozier had some moments in the playoffs. I think at the very least he'll be a good backup point guard. Hunter, I know they say he can shoot. He only shot 30 from three-point land, and he's kind of slow.
He's never going to make it.
I don't think he.
You know why he's not going to make it, Ron? people think he's a great shooter. He doesn't do. He knows the game well. His father
Right.
was a coach. That's where he knows the game. He can pass. He knows what to do. Can't shoot.
Well, I think
If people say he can shoot, he can't shoot.
I think the issues he had with shooting last year is he's slow. So he can't get it off quickly, and that's a problem for him in the very athletic NBA. Mickey, we haven't seen enough.
Mickey's athletic. I mean,
Right.
Mickey, he could be helpful. I mean, look how many 6'7" players in the NBA that are really good.
No.
They're quick and they can jump.
You've seen Love enough. My opinion on Love is I don't like him.
Not consistent enough.
Right. He's
He had a real good game.
yeah.
Yes.
He has a good game now and then, but if you're going to give a guy max money, I want a guy to give me max effort and high levels of production frequently. And I don't feel like Love's that guy.
No, I think it's going to be, well, tonight's game is going to be a huge game. But
Right. Now, obviously, for people following the NBA playoffs, Oklahoma City's up 3-1 on Golden State. It's pretty simple. Golden State's been not as effective as they normally are from three-point land. Curry, I think, has been 16 for 43 in the first 4 games. Maybe he's injured, but he's also getting hit a lot. And Thompson's 11 for 35. So guys that are shooting in the low 40s from threes are more in the mid to low 30s. And Oklahoma City is getting the ball to the rim. They are, we talk about 3 and D, but Oklahoma City is, we're going to pound it into the lane and see if you can stop us.
I still think that Golden State's going to end up beating them. I think tonight my prediction is between Thompson and Curry, they're going to score 70 points between the two of them.
Well, I like Golden State because I think that we've all seen the video highlights enough of Curry getting hit 10 times on one play, people grabbing him, chucking him, and I bet Silver talks to the referees and said that's not happening tonight. So watch for the foul totals on Oklahoma City to pile up.
In San Antonio, I was telling a couple of people, I said what's making, Oklahoma City real strong, especially against San Antonio, was their defense really came on. They played some great defense. They've been playing good defense against Golden State. I mean, Westbrook and Durant, they shot less than 40% the other night, but they both scored big. Westbrook had 30-something points, but his shooting percentage was like 30-something%. Same thing with Durant.
Well, they've been getting to the line a lot.
Adams was playing great, and their defense has been playing great. I know they take a lot of pressure off the other players, but they're not shooting great. So if Golden State should win big tonight, and I think that game that's going to be an unbelievable game in Oklahoma City, the 6th game. It's going to be a great game.
Well, the NBA, all first and second teams came out quickly before we wrap up this segment. Not surprising, Curry was unanimous, followed by James Westbrook, who had a terrific season. Kawhi Leonard from San Antonio is one of the top players in the league, and DeAndre Jordan.
Durant, did you say Durant?
Durant's on the second team.
Oh, really?
Yep. So a lot of talent on there. So the second team is the D's. Durant, Draymond Green, Damian Lillard, DeMarcus Cousins, and Chris Paul. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. In this election year, we have Lou the sports guru and future school committeeman for the Northeast Regional Vocational School. He's not going to talk about his campaign, but we do want to have a representative, and we want to know that people have confidence and trust in our power and authority as kingmakers. Welcome, Lou.
I'm speechless. What do I say to that?
We want to talk a little bit about baseball. And
Well, when was your pick? Because the John Farrell Death Watch, it looks like, was grossly overrated by all of us. I mean, I remember I said Memorial Day weekend he'd be looking for a job. What did you guys say?
I have a quote from the immortal David Bowie. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. So all the young players that were abused by Farrell are saving his job now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, could you believe it? I mean, I did pick Jackie Bradley for my fantasy team. I had a feeling that.
Good move.
Yeah, I mean, and Shaw, I picked him. Because I just figured, I mean, what is it? It's a crapshoot. It's like roulette. But they're saving his job. And pitching performances they've gotten, everybody but Buchholz has chipped in. You know, he's about the only thing we were right about when we sat here.
I picked 84 wins for this season. Obviously, I'm wrong. I'm happy that I'm wrong, but will the players continue to outperform at this pace? Maybe they can because the pitching isn't very good in the league.
Yeah, they're like, what are they averaging, 6.8 runs a game? I mean, they got a murderer's row thing going on. You know, can they sustain it for a season? Because, you know, young players, especially like a second-year player, we've all seen it. You get to May and June, and they're lighting it up, and we start thinking that, oh, playoffs, World Series, and then they'll be batting $150 for 6 weeks, and all of a sudden, you know.
Well, I still don't understand how Farrell decides to rest a player. Bogarts and Pedroia both had minor injuries last night. They play. Mookie Betts, who's 23 years old, has to sit out and rest. It's May. Well, you don't have to rest.
Well, you look at the Red Sox, right? After tonight's game, they would have played 9 more games at home than they have on the road. And you know the history of Fenway Park. It's a great ballpark for a hitter. Now when they go on the road, they say their September schedule is really tough. They're going to be on the road an awful lot. So if it's kind of close then we'll see what happens. But you know they're not going to hit as well on the road.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see when they go on a road trip and see where the average. If the averages stay where they are now, I mean, it looks great for the rest of the season. But you know, in baseball especially, comparing to all sports, as the year goes on, you lose the edge a little. You get a little tired. You know, you're not hitting the ball as well. Pitchers' arms, you know, they're getting tired if they're overusing them now. You know, with Smith out now, they may overuse Uehara, and you know what happens to him if they overuse him. So, still a long way to go. Like I say, baseball's like about 6 different seasons.
Yeah.
And we're still early on.
As you say, the advantage they've had is they've had so many blowouts. They can put in Lane, Ross, Heath Hembry, and Barnes, none of whom are great pitchers.
I like Bonds, though. I think he has the potential to be real. With 99 miles an hour on his fastball.
Yeah, they've gotten some inning performances out of not so great pitchers. And I think, you know, when a team is down 7, 8 runs, a lot of time, you're not really trying to work the count. You're just going to hack away at whatever looks good. And, you know, that happens oftentimes later in games. So, I mean, the Red Sox have, I'm not saying they've done it with smoke and mirrors, but, you know, I think there's a large part of it that you got to wonder, are the young players going to wear down? Are the pitching performances still going to be there? You know, what's Kelly going to be throwing like? You know, Puccello, what's he going to be throwing like once August comes around? So I don't think we thought he was going to do well, Puccello. We were kind of like, we had him in the Kung Fu Panda category of bad signing.
Well, 3rd or 4th starter, you would think. That's what he would be.
You know, one year you hang a slider and somebody hits it, 450 feet. The next year you hang the slider, somebody pops it up.
Right.
So then all of a sudden you're 7-2 or whatever, and your ERA is 3.5 instead of 5.
The one guy who's definitely has the talent to be a number 2 starter is Kelly. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't fool around with him. People are talking about he can handle a bullpen, Buchholz can't. They're crazy if they move Kelly out of the starting line.
100%.
They don't owe Buchholz anything.
They owe him nothing.
In the last 5 seasons, I think he's won 47 games. I mean, and gotten mega bucks for being mediocre.
The money he's making.
He's going to win. I mean, look at him like the last few starts. That one big home run he gives up, but then he recovers. I mean, if he can get into some kind of a groove, he's going to win, especially with the runs the Red Sox are scoring.
Yeah, though, there's 3 parts to his season. He pitches like a Cy Young candidate, then he has an ERA of 6, and then he's injured. Now, which are you going to get? If you get the Cy Young guy from August through October, then okay.
But you need him to have 3 good starts and then trade him.
Well, nobody's going to go for him. They can't get a bucket of old softballs for him right now. And if they could, I would take him, because what do you got? I mean, if you have someone you can't count on, even when they're great, even when they're potential, like Parcells says, all it means is you haven't done anything. The guy hasn't done anything. He's shown us enough glimmer of hope to say, wow, if he could just have a full season like that. And history of sports, how many people have let us down by chasing after that?
Well, it's so easy to overpay for something that you never get.
Yeah.
And teams do that every year. I mean, okay, let's say he goes 6-12 this year. There'll be somebody paying him $10 million next year, hoping that he'll be something.
He'll get it. He'll get at least $10 million.
See, I wish if only George Steinbrenner was still alive, because we know he would go after him.
Well,
He'd make him into a Cy Young candidate.
it's never been the cost of star players. It's the high cost of mediocrity. Now, if the Yankees could do it over, would they be taking Jacoby Ellsbury now? He's a very average outfielder right now.
Yeah,
what
they
they
still
paid.
would. They still would, because $23 million to the Yankees is like $10 million to some other teams.
Yeah.
So they're figuring, all right, we paid $23 million, but who we have in center field? I mean, Ellsbury's starting to hit for them, and he's stealing bases left and right.
Well, he
You
was
know,
the best guy at the time.
If he
too,
can stay healthy
you
and
know.
hit 290 for them, the guy that's disappointing me is Gardner. He hits with power at times, but he's not getting on base enough. You know, I'm a huge Yankee fan, right? I watched more of the Red Sox game last night than the Yankee game. The Yankees were on TV
We're converting
too.
you. We're
No, but I
turning
mean,
them over.
no, the thing is, it's better baseball.
Yeah. It
It's
has
way
been
bet-
fun. The Red Sox
I mean,
have
when
been fun
you
to
watch,
watch.
I mean, I enjoy watching these young guys in the Red Sox. I'm watching the Yankees, right? They're down 2-1, and I'm watching the at-bats they're getting. I turned it off and I put the Red Sox on.
Well,
I mean, it's so much. I mean, if you're a baseball fan,
Yeah, they're entertaining.
this is going to sound a little silly, but if you watch Shaw play third base, it's like watching Cal Ripken play short. He never does anything spectacular. He just gets the ball and makes a nice throw over to first.
how about the third baseman for Colorado?
Oh, he's terrific.
I never even heard about him. The guy's unreal.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He looked like Brooks Robinson.
He's got 3 gold gloves.
Yeah, Arenado. And he can hit too.
Yeah.
It's just, he comes into a difficult situation. They face Price, and Price was good against the good batters, and then they have to go and face Wright, and I mean even poor Hannigan. I thought he was going to die out there yesterday. He was
Oh, I know.
He's chasing every
was
ball
dizzy.
back to the.
They took him out. He was dizzy and sick.
Probably dizzy from chasing
He's
all.
chasing all those balls.
What do you have, 4 or 5 pass balls?
Something
2
like
wild
that. It looked like
pitches?
a little league game. He kept running to the backstop. Or
But no,
sometimes to the left.
You know what gets me about Price, too? He's making $32 million or whatever he's making.
31, yeah.
$31 million. It was like he pitched a no-hitter the other day. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 3 runs, 5 hits, struck out, I think, 5. I mean, to me, that's a pretty good pitch. If it's not at $30 million.
No,
I mean,
no,
they're
that's-
praise him.
Yeah, that's an average.
He's still
start
throwing
at best.
93, 94. Once in a while, he's hitting 95. If he stays there, he's going to give up a lot of runs
I
this year.
do think that since Orsillo's gone, O'Brien, Remy, and the rest of the crowd is effusive in their praise of even the smallest thing. The Red Sox base running is the greatest in the history of baseball because they spent so much time on it in spring training. Give me a break.
Well, that's Farrell. I mean, the only thing I don't like about Farrell is he brags, but he doesn't. If you really listen to him, he's bragging, but most people don't know that he's bragging.
I know what you mean.
He
He does
talks
it
about
under
how
the radar.
smart he is and how smart the team's doing. By the last 2 years, they ended up in the cellar. So they're not that smart. They're doing good this
Well,
year
what
because
has he
they're all
got?
hitting.
He's got 3 cellar finishes in 1 World Series. That 1 World
Right.
Series is,
Well, the question is, if you're a fan, will you take 3 terrible years and a championship?
No,
yeah, well,
no.
It depends.
you know what?
Not if you're a fan. If you're a fan, a real baseball fan, you won't take 3 last place seasons.
How are
and
you
1
feeling about the
championship.
shift these days since it's so,
Some players are starting
ubiquitous?
to burn them on the shift. Ortiz.
yeah.
But I think when I kind of look at this whole thing, were the Red Sox talent level? Were they a last place team last year? I mean, I'm really believing that Farrell led them into the toilet with his inept decisions to not go at younger players, or whether he aggravated the older players and they just didn't want to play for him. Because, I mean, LaBella got unbelievable performances out of them. And what did he do differently other than just get some players in there that he should have been playing? He rode the younger players, and they really wanted to play for him.
Well, if you go out there and tell a kid, I believe in you, you're my everyday guy, I know you can do it, versus get out there and do something.
Well, that's fact. You'll
Yeah,
get
right.
better performances. The kids want you
Yeah,
to
but
believe in them.
Farrell's been a good. I mean, he doesn't have that attitude where he's going to get on people.
No, he
No,
is.
but-
He's John Wayne Farrell. He's a hard guy. Maybe having cancer
I don't
has
see him
changed
during the games.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, not to get psychological, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of passive-aggressive stuff that goes on where, he just doesn't say things, or he's silent, or doesn't, because, like you said, if you get behind a young player, they'll give you their all, and a lot of times that's exactly what they need, is just to give it
You
their
also
all.
don't know, none of us know how many players Ortiz got to.
That's
You
true
don't know
too.
that.
He's
I mean,
something else.
truthfully.
'Cause
No, I'm talking about
I know what you mean.
his routine and what he does to prepare for a game. How many of those players has he gotten to? Has he gotten to Bradley? You know Ramirez is the same as him.
That's true.
You know, I
but-
mean,
Well, I think Bradley, and I could be wrong, he was bought into this, take a lot of pitches, work the count, get the pitcher out. Now he's up there swinging. And then, so that way the pitcher can't just throw the first ball in for a strike and then all of a sudden you're behind in the count.
if I were managing against him, he has a very good compact swing. He stays in there. He's really comfortable. I would throw at him. I would throw at him. I get him. I mean, not at his head.
No, you gotta throw.
You never ever throw at someone's
No,
head.
but throwing inside.
But I would throw inside
have to,
in
yeah.
here.
See, to me,
He's too comfortable.
the area that's hardest for most players to hit, I don't care whether it's high school or professional, it's down and into the left-handers, down and away to the right-handers. I think it was in ball 4, guys talking about pitching. Oh yeah, you go up and in and then throw 2 hard ones down and away on the black, and you got the guy out, and the pitcher says, yeah, if I could do that every time, I'd get everybody out.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the truth.
He covers the plate so well, though. I was watching him. He covers the plate. Bogarts, the difference between him and him, Bradley's compact, so he's going to be more consistent. It's amazing how some of those other guys are hitting because their swings are longer.
I know it.
And
you wouldn't think it would work in today's baseball, having longer swings like that, because of the
No.
way guys, it's so much more of a pitcher's game than it was back in the day when everybody was just big, long swing and aim for the fence.
But he's covering the play well, I have to say that. And, he's getting a lot of good pitches to hit, though.
Well, it's miraculous.
He's batting number 1 today in lineup.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even
Right.
see that.
I don't, he's got I think 417 on base percentage, so that's probably the rationale. But I hope he's just up there and does his thing and doesn't worry about, okay, I'm hitting leadoff today, I have to have a different approach. The guy who's been unbelievable is Ortiz. Now, he's too old to be doing what he's doing. I don't know, maybe he's taking
Well, who do you
something.
compare him to? Maybe. Maybe.
Well, no. I think we all
My sources,
Maybe.
we all have to just admit that.
my sources say that he gets tested 3 times a week.
That's fine. And it's easy to beat it now.
But
I
I got to
don't know.
wonder though that
Oh, I know it's easy to beat.
even when I hated Barry Bonds, and I still do, but I have to say that one thing about steroids or any performance-enhancing thing, it doesn't improve your eyesight to put the bat on the ball. I mean, let's face it, you can have the greatest swing,
You're more focused, though.
but an eighth of an inch
That
is
helps your
the
eyesight.
difference. Yeah,
You're more focused.
possibly,
You're
but-
stronger. You're not down. You don't get tired. Like in baseball, as the year goes on, a lot of these players get tired. You get tired.
yeah, recovery
your
is-
swing is off.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
popping up
absolutely.
balls.
Well, you shouldn't get tired if you're the DH.
No,
Well, yeah, especially him. He goes back in the clubhouse.
but who does he
he's-
remind you of? Around the same age. Barry Bonds.
Exactly. Well, that was why I
Barry
mentioned
Bonds
it.
was the best hitter. Barry Bonds was the best
37
hitter
on.
to ever play the game. Way better than Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. The greatest hitter that ever played a game in his last 2 years because he was on the steroids.
Probably about 5 years.
The other-
Ortiz is having his best year where 5 years ago he couldn't turn on an inside fastball.
As a matter of fact, that's the truth.
Now he's all over every pitch.
He
I mean,
couldn't
come on.
connect with an inside
What is it?
fastball 5 years ago.
What
You're
is it? And
absolutely
he's-
right.
Well, I just think if it's so easy to beat the test, everybody should be beating the test.
Well, what do you think
Well, some
Canseco said?
people are-
80% of the players are on it, he
Some
said.
people aren't that, let's think about Manny Ramirez. I mean, how many times did he get caught?
The one guy who I'd bet my house isn't on it is A-Rod. Because the reason why A-Rod isn't on it anymore, he just lost $30 million by getting caught. He's got 1.5 years left on his contract. You think he wants to lose another $30 million for the rest of it? So why does he even have to? So he's not on
I'll tell you why I think I would agree with you is because, like Ken Griffey Jr., I don't believe he was either because he aged. He started getting a little heavy in the middle, slowed down with his swing, and he aged like a late 30-year-old would. And I think A-Rod is starting to play that same way. He's still got talent. He's still in tremendously good shape. But I don't think the performance enhancement with him.
And another thing, too, is I don't believe that they're testing Ortiz more than anyone else.
They
I
might
don't know
just
how could they?
Yeah, you got to wonder because
You got a guy like Ortiz, you're going to test him more than someone else?
Yeah, there'd be like some kind of an investigation.
I heard they're not even doing testing. That's what I
Well,
heard.
I would bet that the players who have either a previous positive test or suspicion.
But did he actually have it? Because, I mean, they named him in the Mitchell report.
Well, they
right?
never told him what he took. Now,
Right.
whatever
But
that
they just
means.
named him. They said he was on the report.
He was on it. He was
Right.
on it.
But they didn't catch him, though. Like, he was never actually tested positive.
Well, they weren't. There was no penalty back then.
Right.
But he did test positive
Right, but that's almost like a free
for
pass.
PED.
Right, but
Yeah,
I
but
no,
there was
I'm,
no-
I mean, what I mean
right,
though is
there was
it's
no
a,
penalty then.
Yeah, so we know he was taking something. We all know it. But
Hey, listen.
you know,
During his heyday, his younger years in his 20s, early mid 20s, right? He didn't even start for Minnesota.
no,
he didn't
was a
start
late-
for the Red Sox.
He was a late bloomer. He was well. The Red Sox got him. They got him on potential, and then he surprised everybody. And then-
Ramirez's people must have got to him.
Well, I think
Manny
that
Ramirez's people.
they always felt that he had a hole on the inside part of the plate. If you get it inside corner, belt high, you wouldn't get him out. And then he was able to close that hole down.
When was that? When did he close that hole down?
I don't know, years ago.
Well, what happened 5 years ago when they were when
Yeah,
they
but
were
if
pinch
you-
hitting
that was
for him?
different. I think that was an age thing.
Yeah,
I
but
think
5 years ago they were pinch hitting for him, and now all of a sudden he's hitting everything.
Well, that's why it's easy to say there's got to be something going on. I mean, nobody gets better at baseball. I mean, when I was a kid, when you hit 30 and all of a sudden, you know.
It's this simple. You have $10,000. You have to bet either way. 99% of the people would bet he is on it. They're not going to.
Maybe 100.
You know, I mean, they're going to bet that he's on it. If they have to bet 10,000, all right, I'm giving you 10,000. You got to bet either way. Is he on it or isn't he on it?
Yeah. It's just a matter of they were always staying a step ahead. Not only in the masking agents that they use are always a step ahead. You know, I mean, who's to say what they're doing to beat the system?
But I mean, it's not only him. There are a lot of players doing it.
Do they have a test
So-
for human growth?
Yeah, they can do it. The players don't want to have blood tests. They don't want to have blood tests because you want to get caught.
Exactly.
So you can always measure something. It's just a matter of
They say about the numbers.
it's always about negotiation between the union and the parent
And let's face
organization.
it, I mean, the difference between baseball and football is baseball union always wins and the football union always loses.
Well,
you know?
and how about in basketball? Nobody ever tested positive for anything ever.
Did they? Because nobody cared.
I don't even know if they, I'm sure they do some kind of test, but
It's
Now,
funny.
you,
know.
all right, you got to bet on one team winning the World Series this year. Who would you bet right now?
Well, you know what? Right now, it's almost impossible to say. I would bet the Red Sox because they're that crazy.
You'd give them the best odds to win.
oh, I would bet the Cubs right now because they have Arrieta and Lester
Yeah, but
and
I
pretty
don't
good
know.
offense.
I don't know if I trust them. I think the Cubs are really. It's hard to look past them.
If I had a bet, I would bet the Red Sox. There's no one in the American League. If the Red Sox continue to play like this, there's no one in the American League who can beat
Well, the
them.
funny thing is,
maybe Kansas City if the pitching gets.
and I thought the AL East was going to be a lot tougher than it was. You know, Baltimore's playing good, but just surprised.
I'm hoping the Yankees.
Really surprised at the Yankees.
They're on the upswing though. They won 6 in a row, then
Yeah,
they
they'll be
lost
better.
last night.
Well, the Yankees.
Teixeira's got a hit for them.
Well, the Yankees have won 7 out of 10, as well as the Red Sox. And in the National League, Pittsburgh's been playing well. San Francisco's won 9 out of 10, and
Then you also have Kershaw if they make it. The Dodgers.
yeah, the Dodgers are.
They're pitching.
I'm not you know something. He does not impress me for the simple reason that he's a regular season pitcher. His ERA, you just look at his stats. I mean, you know what? They compared him to Sandy Koufax in a Sports Illustrated. I threw it away. I was so aggravated.
Well, the guy for San Francisco is the best big game pitcher.
Yeah, but that's what it's all about, though. Bumgarner is exactly as dominant, if not more so. And he's untouchable in the regular season, and he's more untouchable in the playoffs. And, you know, Kershaw, what's he got, a 3 ERA? He's so untouchable, and it, like, triples when he gets to the playoffs. I don't know. That's
Can
not
it
gonna get
happen?
done.
And Jordan's Furniture has that thing if the Yankees and Red Sox meet in the East Finals?
No, that's not happening.
It might.
No. No. Then again, you know something? Stranger
way
things
it's
can
set
happen.
up.
What other team, though, in the Central and the West, what other team is going to pop up? And you never know. The Yankees could get second place. And
Botansis, Miller, Chapman, if they can get to those three, they've gotten to those 4 times, and they've won all. They didn't give up a run, one run. hard.
Well, one thing about baseball, you can always be prepared for surprises because it hardly ever goes true to form.
You're right about that.
Unlike racing, right? Oh, we'll get back to that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The National Football League's on a 365 days a year news cycle, and Deflate-gate is the gift that keeps on giving, just won't go away. There's more talk now that maybe the shift has gone in favor of Brady because the National Football League has gotten such bad publicity on concussions and their effort to suppress legitimate research, or at least the alleged effort to suppress legitimate research. Who knows?
You know, we've talked about this before, and you know how upset I am at the commissioners, the owners. They don't care. They're not good people. None of them, not many of them are good people. I would say maybe 10% of them. All they care about is themselves and the wallet, no one else. The concussion situation, the Brady situation where every owner is against the Patriots because they're so successful. And it was supposed to be a fair process with the arbitrator, who's the commissioner, and it wasn't a fair process. He had in his mind that he was going to get Brady. Is that fair? He was going to go after him. During the season when they're supposed to be testing the balls on the PSIs, they didn't come out with any figures. Why? Because they were going to go against the NFL. I mean, it's a disgrace the way this country is going at this time with the higher ups. I mean, you just think of it, Ron. The coaches, all they care about is winning. They didn't care about steroids when McGuire was hitting all those homers. They were making the money, the owners.
Well,
they don't care. And you look at the NFL now. They don't care.
Well, the NFL talks about the integrity of the game and rules. Well, Baltimore had players in pads during rookie camp. Now they've been punished for 3 OTAs. You can't say that they didn't know because Harbaugh's been the coach there, I think, for 6 years. You're right. Now, the NFL got a brief from, or a scientific report from 21 different universities saying balls are regularly played with at pressures below the recommended standard because that's how science works. Ralph and I carry a carload of basketballs along at 12 months a year, and during the cold months, you take those basketballs into the gym, they don't bounce. When they warm up, they bounce because the air pressure inside the ball rises. I mean, it's ludicrous to think that the NFL doesn't know that. It's more than a witch hunt. It's suppression of the Patriots. They've taken away their 1st and 4th draft choices, $1 million. Just disgusting.
I mean, how hard is it for the other owners in the league, how hard is it for them to figure out, okay, in the New York Jet game in 14, the ball was 16 PSIs and Brady was upset. He wanted it at 12.5 PSIs. It was at 16. He told the people that handle the balls, I want it at 12.5. Show the referees the rule. He had them show the referees the rule. The balls can be, he wants them at 12.5. They can be between 12.5 and 13.5, not 16. So that's what got it started. It should have been an equipment violation right from the beginning, but I told you, Goodell, everybody was against him at the time because of all the other situations he was involved with. He said, the best way I can get my popularity back, go after the Patriots, go after Brady. And I'm telling you, most of the players he was going after were minorities. All those players, and they weren't happy about it. He sees the one player, the face of football, a white quarterback, and I'm telling you, he went after him to get all his popularity back, and he knew it was only an equipment violation. He says, now I'm going to have 95% of the NFL behind me, the fans behind me, because they hate the Patriots, they don't like Brady, and that's what it's come to. It's all come to that because he wanted to get his popularity back.
Well, Ralph's argument is that it's a distraction like John Travolta in Swordfish. Misdirection.
Yeah.
Get people on the other track. Now, OTAs are in force right now, and Patriots had a lot of players not practicing today, including Gronkowski. I don't see any point in exposing Gronkowski to any kind of injury during this kind of stuff. And obviously, they've got Amendola, who's had knee and ankle surgery. You have Edelman's, who's had foot surgery. There's plenty of players who did play, though, And they said that both Brady and Garoppolo were very sharp during workouts today.
Well, you know why Gronk wasn't there? You know what he was working on?
No, what's he working on
His
now?
ballet. You see him doing it? Did
Yeah.
you see films of him? That's
Saw
what he
that.
is. He's getting into that. He says he's going to be able to move a lot quicker.
All right, well, God bless Gronk. The Patriots have Dante Scarnecchia back, which should help. Hope that Nate Solder will be back at left tackle. They certainly had a revolving door of left tackles there. They have Cooper from Arizona, who came out as a highly touted prospect and didn't do too much, had some injuries, so we'll see if they can do something with him.
How about Karras?
I was intrigued by Karras.
He's
Karras,
gonna
they
be
got
good.
from Illinois,
Yeah.
and one of 7 of the Karras family that's been in college football and professional football. Many of you probably remember Alex Karras from the Detroit Lions, and those of you who are old enough, I think 1973 was Blazing Saddles. Might not be 73, but
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks' epic cowboy movie. So
The offensive line, well, the key to the offensive line, Vollmer and Solder. If they can stay healthy, they have enough players in the middle. You know,
yeah, who knows what's going? I mean, Stork has had a lot of concussion
and they
issues,
have
so we don't know. Andrews and Tooney, kid they got from North Carolina State. Yes, North Carolina
Yeah.
State. He could probably play almost any position along the line. I think they said he did not give up 1 sack last season.
They're going to be good. They're going to be good in the offensive line. Tight end, Bennett.
Martellus Bennett, people would have to view that as the #1 acquisition of the
And Hogan
offseason.
at split end. He'll probably be a slot receiver.
Yeah, we'll see. They drafted this kid
Mitchell.
from. They
And
didn't
how
have
about the
enough-
cornerback
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
from Alabama?
yeah. So, no reason to think they're going to be a lot worse. The biggest issues are, will Garoppolo hold up? And I'm going to assume that Brady's still going to get stuck with the 4-game suspension. And then just because Brady comes back doesn't mean he's in mid-season form either. So
I'm saying he doesn't get suspended. I'm saying he doesn't get suspended because the judges are going to look at and see that Berman ruled for Brady. 2 out of 3 ruled against Brady. So basically, from the same circuit, it was 2 and 2. They're going to look at that, and then Brady's got some high-powered attorneys that know what they're doing. So I think they're going to, if they don't, then the Supreme Court they'll go to.
well, I think Brady's going to be looking for a presidential pardon from Donald Trump.
Yeah, his friend.
His friend, right, exactly.
Donnie?
We'll see.
Well, better than him than Clinton, that's for sure.
I think the other issues they have is going to be health in the cornerback position, because they're not
that
real.
kid that quarterback they got from North Carolina State.
Oh, Brissett.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of people love him.
Well, he's had a lot of communications with Bill Parcells, and he apparently is a big Parcells guy.
They're gonna have a good. If they stay healthy, they got another shot. That's the key.
Interestingly, Belichick asked coaches on the team to name the 10 most valuable players. I don't know if you'd seen this on the Patriots. And
Oh, I can name them. It's easy.
all right, well, there was one player that the coaches didn't include among the 10 most valuable, and Belichick kind of said, "Are you kidding me?" Which player do you think that was?
Ninkovich.
Gostkowski.
Oh, Gostkowski.
Because Gostkowski's been, I know he obviously missed a key extra point in the postseason, but he's been pretty reliable through the years, especially on long field goals. So you need a great kicker. And it came up because I think it was Tampa that drafted a kicker in the 2nd round, and people said, why would anybody draft a kicker that high? You lose a lot of close games because you don't have a good kicker. No way to correct that.
I can name them right now, the top players.
All right, who are the top 10?
Okay, Brady's number 1.
Brady.
Gronk's number 2.
Okay.
Hightower's number 3.
Okay.
Edelman's number 4. Number 5 is Collins.
Okay.
Number 6 is Solder. Number 7 is Vollmer. Number 8 is Butler. Number 9 is Ryan. And number 10 is Ninkovich.
Okay. It's a good list. And it'll be interesting to see which side of the ball is stronger this year. Getting Bennett at tight end to play against Gronkowski, to me, that's a huge move because Bennett's a really terrific player if he's healthy and motivated. He's kind of a strange guy, but big talent. He's even bigger than Gronkowski.
Yeah, but
That's how big he is.
Brady's got to like him, though. There's so many players that, when Lewis, don't forget Lewis.
Right.
They say Lewis is doing fine.
Right. They said he would be ready to go by the regular
Imagine
season.
if he's healthy all year. If they're healthy all year, they may go undefeated.
If Lewis had been healthy, that would. But it's the National Football League. Nobody stays healthy.
All right. So I know no one does stay healthy. If Brady plays all year, and they stay fairly healthy, 14-2. 14-2.
All right. Well, you know what the over/under in Vegas is?
I know, 10.5.
10.5.
That's because of Brady's situation.
I agree. As for the coaching segment, there's a whole lot of issues to talk about coaching at any time, and one of the things that comes up is social media policy. And at major college programs, many of the programs have social media coordinators, people who monitor the athletes, because the athletes are young people. They're very much in social media on the various platforms that exist, and they do knucklehead things. University of Michigan had 2 coordinators, and they created an identity for a non-existent person on social media, and that person interacted with various athletes. Then the social media coordinators brought the players in. The players said, "We didn't do anything," and then they produced all these tweets to the non-existent person that social media directors and monitors had produced. So they just said, don't embarrass the university. Don't let 140 characters take away $140,000 of scholarship for you. Now, I don't know if the high school has any formal social media policy. I wouldn't expect high school athletes to be dismissive toward other communities, coaches, or players, but who knows?
Well, it comes down to the coaches. The coaches you're playing for. I mean, you wouldn't see that. Well, I hope you wouldn't see it with some of the coaches up at the high school. Morris and
Right,
Shelley.
I wouldn't expect that. But
And especially the girls that play in some of those programs. I mean, we know the basketball history and the volleyball history. I mean, most of the girls are great kids. They do well in school, and you get the knuckleheads here and there.
Well, I just, every parent has to develop their own policy towards social media. Some parents have total transparency. They need access to their child's account and password, and they can review everything that the child sends or receives.
Well, the biggest problem? Everybody got away from the flip phones. Not me. I never go on Facebook. My wife tells me about Facebook.
Ralph still has a tin can and a string for a phone.
I mean, God, I would never. They find out right away, though, when that police officer got shot. Through social media, they found out right away there was information coming left and right to the police. So in that regard, it's real good.
I think one of the other important concepts as a young player, and a lot of times as a young coach, is better listening. Be focused on trying to take away the most you can from the information you're getting. So if you've been watching the Red Sox games lately, you see Mookie Betts spending a lot of time with LaBella and with Ortiz and veteran players trying to pick up all the information that he can. There's an acronym that I think is useful. It's called WAIT, W-A-I-T, that stands for Why Am I Talking? Because a lot of times you can be learning by listening. Every time you say something, it has to be something you already know, while whenever you're listening, it may be something you already know, but maybe something you don't know.
I see that every day in work. So many times I tell people, listen to the judge. You're talking too much and you're not listening. It happens a lot. I mean, in that situation, it's unbelievable. I told a guy I bailed out the other night, I said, you talk way too much. I'm bailing you, I don't understand if you really understand what I'm telling you. you know, your rights and everything else. He goes into court. I said, Judge, this guy, he won't stop talking. I called the case, didn't listen, wanted to talk and not listening. And you see that all the time. I mean, I see that in court. They talk too much and they don't listen.
They did a survey of college basketball players at one point, and they asked, number one, do you know what the major emphasis of what your coach wants for your program? And about 25% of the players knew what that was, which isn't very good because that means there's not very good feedback being given by the coaching staff or getting information back from the players.
Well, you know what school 100% of them listen to, what coach they listen to.
UConn.
UConn.
Yeah. And the second thing is, then they asked the players, do you care what the coach is saying? And it was even lower. About 20% of the players said, yes, of course I care. Now, the great coaches in college basketball, you know that Krzyzewski has control of his program. You know that Tom Izzo at Michigan State has control of his program. You know that REM at UConn or Sherry Cole at Oklahoma have total control of the players. You know in the professional circuit that, like the Cavaliers, LeBron does whatever he wants, and he could sort of care less.
He picks his own coach.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy, but anyway. Here's a great quote I really like from a fellow named Matt McWilliams. People don't want to be treated well. They want to be treated like they're the only one who matters. And a lot of times, when you do try to treat a person that way, great eye contact, listen to what they say, back and forth with communication and questioning, you're going to get a lot more out of the player.
Oh, of course. But like you say, and what happens there with the players that want to be pampered, I mean, they're just going to hurt the program. And the coaches that let that happen are coaches that are trying to get to a certain level. Like you said, Krzyzewski's not going to tolerate that.
Yeah, if we've worked with a lot of younger players, but we've been fortunate to have some terrific kids who really cared about their teammates, cared about the program, and you couldn't speak highly enough about them. I remember there was an incident, I think we were in Tewksbury, and we lost a game, and one of the players wanted to take responsibility for losing, like it was somehow her fault. And Bella Federico kind of said, that's crazy, we play as a team, you did as well as you can. No one player lost the game.
It wasn't Tewksbury because we never lost at Tewksbury. Remember that coach used to get mad at us?
Well, I think the gym was at Tewksbury. I don't know who we played there. But the point is that being supportive to the group is really important. And there's plenty of teams that you have great personalities who are strong personalities, who are supportive and add a lot to the team regardless of their skills and athleticism. And there are players that you just want to have on the team. I remember, I've mentioned this many times, for volleyball many years ago, there was a player that was Marianne Foley's best friend, Danielle Burke. And she was happy to be on the team. She wasn't worried about her court time. She just wanted to be part of the experience and be supportive to her friends. And that means a lot to a team's success. If you have players carping about playing time, about opportunities when they're not necessarily among the top players, that just creates a bad atmosphere for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you have different talent different groups you have. Some players really into it, and the rest of the players fall right into it, and they're totally committed. Then you have another group where they may not all be committed the way they should be, especially if you're going up against super talent. And,
Yeah.
And that's kind of tough.
Well, I think if you had it on a 5 scale, I'd much rather have a 3-player with 5 commitment than a 5-player with 2 commitment. So unless you really care, you're not going to be successful.
And then you coach, and then if you're with a coach that demands you play your best, and you give your best. But I tell my kids, I says, the key for any athlete, as long as you know you're totally committed, you're prepared properly, you have nothing to worry about. If you miss 2 foul shots at the end of the game to lose a game, if you know you've worked at your game and you didn't take a practice off because you just didn't feel like going, you were totally committed and you gave 100%, that's all you worry about. That's the key. Because I've seen high school superstars all state players missed down 1 point with 2 seconds to go in a game in a state tournament game. I've seen one of the best players Melrose ever had miss 2 foul shots at the end of the game. And Melrose lost by 1 point. They would have went to the semifinals of the North and against a real good team. Nothing to get upset about.
Right.
She gave everything she had. Every second she was out on the court the whole year, she gave everything she had. And she had nothing to feel bad about because she knew she gave it all. That's not, not coming true at the end. That is, you missed the 2 foul shots. No one's perfect.
That's for sure. I've enjoyed seeing you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.